Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, the Trump administration is trying to take health care away from people. I will never forget, I was sitting at this desk, at desk 88 on the Senate floor, the night when Senator Murkowski and Collins and then Senator McCain voted against repealing the Affordable Care Act. I watched my colleagues, all of whom have good health insurance, all of us have good health insurance because of taxpayers. I watched my colleagues, one after another, vote to take health insurance away from millions of people. 900,000 people in my state alone have insurance now because of the Affordable Care Act. This time the Trump administration is trying to pull funding from health facilities that tell the truth to their patients. Facilities like Planned Parenthood that nearly 100,000 Ohioans rely on. 100,000 Ohioans. They're blocking Title X funding for any healthcare organization that actually gives patients medically relevant information and the full range of healthcare options. We know who makes these decisions. I hate to say it this way, but it's mostly white men in Washington, and they have real serious consequences for Ohio women. This month, 2 Planned Parenthood clinics in Cincinnati announced they will have to close their doors. This will be devastating for so many Southwest Ohio women. It will mean they have fewer options for health care services they need, including preventive care like cancer screenings and STI testing and birth control. It will mean many women won't be able to see the doctors whom they rely on and whom they trust. A student in Cincinnati, Caroline, she said we could use her first name, talked to a local reporter about what this decision means for her. She said, I have a very close relationship with my provider. There's a lot of trust there that's been built over many years. But now, because of this president, she's not going to be able to see that doctor anymore. To what purpose other than playing politics? I got a letter from another woman in Cincinnati who wrote, as someone who lost her grandmother to uterine cancer in March, I know how important it is for women to have access to the health care services that Planned Parenthood provides. Women have the right to make informed choices about their own bodies and to have access to examinations that can help save their lives. That came from a woman in Cincinnati. We know Planned Parenthood provides these exams and tests. These clinics are often the only places that many women and some men have to turn. They either can't afford somewhere else or they live too far away from other health care providers to have any other real option. Last year, the West Side Clinic that's closing in Cincinnati performed more than 6,900 STI tests. 6,900. The Springdale Clinic that's closing performed more than 6,300 tests. Another woman from Cincinnati wrote to say her 30-year-old daughter has an advanced degree, but her income is below poverty level, and she relies on Planned Parenthood for her care. Does this mean she won't get care? It probably does. It means she can't afford anywhere else, so she just goes without care, and we know what can happen then to someone. This mother of the woman of the 30-year-old daughter said, now she'll be hard-pressed to find a provider that will take her for checkups, to receive birth control and more. This assault on women's health care isn't just coming from the Trump administration. They're encouraging right-wing state legislatures all over the country. Over the past few years, we've seen state legislatures, notably, including my state, unfortunately, in Ohio, making it harder and harder for clinics to operate and provide those preventive services. They cut funding, they increase red tape, they rail against bureaucrats and bureaucracy, but they make it harder through more red tape. They come up with rule after unnecessary rule to dissuade young women from coming to these clinics. These rules aren't really about patient health. They're about closing health clinics. And again, who made these laws? It's always the same. It's men who don't listen. It's men who don't understand how women's bodies work. It's men who don't understand how preventive care like birth control works. It's time for old white men in Washington and in courtrooms to stop trying to take away women's health care.